All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming in on this chilly morning. We appreciate you being here. I will lead the invocation. Would you bow your head, please? Lord, thank you for your traveling mercies and for safely bringing everyone together. Give us wisdom as we deliberate the matters before us today, and help us to always keep foremost the needs of the students of South Carolina. Amen.
Amen.
Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The South Carolina Public Charter School District authorizes, champions, and supports the creation and advancement of innovative K-12 public charter schools that provide access to academic opportunities for every student in South Carolina to reach their fullest potential. Mr. Secretary, would you take the roll?
Mr. Butcher.
Here.
Mr. Butcher is present. Mr. Gilchrist.
Present.
Mr. Gilchrist is present. Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Miller is present. Mrs. Mosteller.
Here.
Mrs. Mosteller is present. Mr. Payne.
Present.
Mr. Payne is present. Dr. Pope. Dr. Pope is not present. Dr. Strickland.
Here.
Dr. Strickland is present. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, seek approval of the agenda for today's meeting, January 11th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. Also seek approval of the minutes for the November 30th, 2023 special called virtual meeting.
Move to make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. Marlene, are there any public comments?
Mr. Chairman, there aren't any.
There are none? Okay,
None.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Neely, Eagle Scout recognition.
Good morning. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, an Eagle Scout is the highest achievement or rank attainable within the Boy Scouts of America. Requirements to earn the rank of Eagle Scout include earning at least 21 merit badges. Since the first Eagle Scout was identified in 1912, more than 2 million youth have earned the rank of Eagle Scout. We have 9 newly identified Eagle Scouts across our portfolio. It is with great pleasure that we can recognize and celebrate the prestigious honor alongside 5 of our Scouts and their families in attendance today. Scott Hagler, the Director of Field Service with the Indian Waters Council, is also joining us today. Scott, would you please stand? Thank you for being here, and we appreciate your partnership. Eagle Scouts, as I call your name, please come forward to receive a certificate and a lapel pin as a token of our celebration of your accomplishment from the district. We will also take a photo with each of you. After all 5 Scouts have been recognized, we'll take one group photo. So after your turn, if you'd kind of stand to the side, we'll come back together, all of you. Okay, unable to join us today is junior Haley Morton from Greenville Tech Charter High School. As you see in this picture, Haley's project was titled Oakview Outdoor Archery Range. She designed and built 3 archery targets and a bow stand to complement the archery equipment the Oakview Elementary Physical Education Department already had, allowing for more students to experience the growing sport of archery. We wish congratulations to Haley and thank her for her service to her local community. Up next is Preston Kinn. Preston is a senior at Greenville Tech Charter High School. His Eagle Scout project was building an outdoor kitchen area for the local Ronald McDonald House. Preston, part of Troop 19, partnered with the Ronald McDonald House to design and build an outdoor kitchen area to provide a meal preparation area for families and volunteers, which included granite countertops and a new grill. Over 160 volunteer hours and generous donations from the Home Depot and Upstate Granite made this project possible. Congratulations, Preston, and thank you for your service to the community. Up next is Lorelei LaRue. Lorelei is a junior at Palmetto Scholars Academy. Lorelei was the first scout in Troop 742 to earn the Eagle Scout rank. Her project of creating raised garden beds at the Joseph Floyd Manor in downtown Charleston helped bring fresh vegetables to the elderly, low-income residents. Congrats, Lorelei, and thank you for your service to your local community. Griffin LaRue. Griffin is a sophomore at Palmetto Scholars Academy. Griffin's project was to develop a flower bed on the Palmetto Scholar Academy campus that will attract pollinators from the nearby beehives and help beautify the campus. Griffin also planted milkweed and butterfly bushes to attract monarch butterflies on their migratory path. Congrats, Griffin, and thank you for your service to your local community. Up next is Noah Melanie. Noah is a senior at Palmetto Scholars Academy. Noah's project was building new seating and flower boxes for Palmetto Scholars Academy. It was a joint effort between volunteers of Troop 519 and Palmetto Scholars student athletes. Congrats, Noah, and thank you for your service to your local community. Finally is Anthony Saccharin. Anthony is a 2023 graduate of Palmetto Scholars Academy and a current freshman at the University of South Carolina. His project was titled Anthony's Birdhouses. Anthony designed 12 birdhouses to put around his local neighborhood trail. On the day of the project workday, his troop joined in to help build, stain, and put up the birdhouses. Congrats, Anthony, and thank you for your service to your local community. All right, that's all five, and we can take a group photo, and I think Superintendent Neely would like to say a few words.
Yeah, why don't y'all come on back up? We'll do the photo afterwards, but y'all have a place up here. So congratulations. This makes you one of the less than 6% of all scouts in America who earn the Eagle Scout Award. I'm an Eagle Scout, and so I know what it takes to become one. And you might not realize it today, because when you're young, sometimes, there's so much coming at you in life. But I promise you that when you get older, the Eagle Award will mean so much more. When you become an adult and when you have a family and you get active in your community and take on a profession of your choice. Your Eagle Scout project, the same thing. The contributions you made to your local communities, the leadership that you had to demonstrate in your project, the creativity and innovation that was involved. All of that is also connected to the education that you all are receiving and received while you were a charter school student. So there's a lot of similarities between charter schools and scouting. And I would just ask that just savor this moment. Eagles are not perfect people. But we're always striving to be our best for ourselves and for others. And never forget to do a good turn daily. Thank you.
Do any scout troops meet at any charter schools?
They do,
That's good.
yes.
Yeah,
Troop 484
Yeah.
meets at one of the Scholars Academy.
yeah. Good job.
Yeah, and we're actually partnered with Scouting around the state and just presented to their conference this week to get more scout troops into our charter schools because there is alignment when it comes to character, country, and community in scouting and charter schools.
So, thank you.
Right.
Any other questions? Congratulations again. As Chris mentioned, you might not realize the gravity of what you've been awarded or what you've earned, but later on in life, you will, and it is a great achievement. So congratulations on behalf of the board. Thank you. All right, next, we do have a need for executive session, so if I can have a motion to go into executive session.
So move, Mr. Chairman. Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, none opposed. We will keep this as brief as possible, and we'll be back. Thank you. We will come out of executive session now. We were in executive session to receive a update on litigation regarding Charleston Advancement Academy. No action was taken. All right. Board Policy Manual revisions, first reading. Randy?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for allowing us to move forward on this today. As many of you remember, in our last meeting, we deferred to today's meeting to allow for public comment. Over the past number of months, the committee, which included the vice chairman and then also Trustee Butcher, reviewed policies, and then, as I said, we did open it for public comment. We have provided the policy manual to you both in paper form and also electronically. And when you leave today, we actually do have it actually in a bound notebook, so you can look at it some more as we move to then second reading scheduled for the February meeting. So with that said, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we have the first reading of the board policy manual revision today.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All right, there's a motion on the table or on the floor. Are there any questions, any discussion? None? All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Thank you. Charter school goal amendments. Ms. Farmer?
Oops. Good morning, Chairman Payne, members of the board, Superintendent Neely. This morning, we have our first set of batch goal amendments. I will share the rationale and process for batch goal amendments going forward, followed by a summary of the three PSCD schools revised goals. Many schools' goals are from their original charters and therefore include goals that are no longer relevant, not measurable, or unrealistic. To help schools work through the process of drafting and revising goals, Dr. Kelly Pugh facilitated 2 full-day goal workshops open to all PCSD schools last spring. Her session outcomes for the schools were to align schools' mission, vision, and goals, analyze data and ensure the measurability of goals, learn and apply a data protocol to school data, begin creating SMART goals, and leave with a plan for completion. Based on the necessity for many schools to review, revise, or rewrite goals, the goal revision amendment process has been temporarily modified to reduce the burden on our schools and the PCSD board. Schools wishing to revise or edit their charter goals submit proposed goals to staff for review. If necessary, goals are returned to the schools for revision or clarification. And once staff determines the school's goals are satisfactory, they will be included at monthly board meetings as batch amendments contingent upon approval by the PCSD District Board of Trustees. Charter school autonomy allows each school to design goals that best enable it to measure the progress and growth of its students. We encourage schools to provide goals tied to academic, financial, and organizational outcomes. Revised goals should be SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented, and time-bound, include baseline data, provide annual or biannual benchmarks, and span the length of the school's charter. Since goals do not have to be tied to state report card data, schools' goals can often tell the story not captured in state report cards. Compass Collegiate Academy, or CCA, submitted 6 ambitious goals that align with the purpose of charter schools as described in the Charter School Act. Its proposed goals are measurable and include specific targets and indicators. Goals include academic goals to improve student learning and assist South Carolina in reaching academic excellence based on SC Ready, ELA, and math state assessments and state accountability ratings. Goals to increase learning opportunities for students and create New professional opportunities are tied to student and teacher retention rates. And measurable achievement goals designed to close the achievement gap in CCA's subgroup population are included. Both Low Country Acceleration Academy in North Charleston and its replication school, Carolina Shores Acceleration Academy in Myrtle Beach, serve similar student populations. 9th through 12th grade students attending both campuses are working to earn South Carolina high school diplomas. The school's proposed academic goals are associated with the end-of-course examination statewide assessment program, EOCEP or EOC courses, specifically end-of-course percentage goals for Algebra 1 and English 2. The school's college and career readiness goals are based on the percentage of students scoring college ready on the English and math sections of the ACT and career ready on the WIN assessment. Our final school is Palmetto Achievement Center for Excellence. PACE submitted 4 academic goals with growth targets for its elementary and middle school students. They are grade span specific for 2nd through 5th grade and 6th through 8th grade. Proposed goals are associated with annually increasing percentages of students meeting or exceeding expectations on the SE Ready ELA and math state assessments. PACE's goals include baseline data, annual benchmarks, and detailed strategies the school will employ to meet the goals. Each school's complete charter goals are included in the attachments to the memorandum you have in your binder. The PCSD recommends approval of the 3 schools' revised goals. However, if there's a school for which the board wishes to vote on separately, we welcome that too. Thank you.
All right. We'll need a motion to move forward.
Mr. Chairman, in concurrence with staff recommendation, I make a motion to approve these batch amendments.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Got a motion. Is there any board discussion or questions?
Just one question. So you mentioned early on that this was temporary. So is this a one-time batch amendment thing that we're doing? or
No,
is this-
no.
Okay.
We will do them, it could be every month, could be every other month, but as we gather several schools together, rather than having 30 schools come to different meetings, we're trying to, consolidate them so that it's less burdensome. So we're encouraging definitely schools after year 1 and some of them after their 2nd year of operation to really revisit baseline data and come up with or draft or revise goals so that they are achievable and
Yeah, no,
You know.
it all makes sense.
Yes.
I think in one of the earlier slides, it just said.
well,
was it
and I mean temporarily as far as it's not going to be forever. We don't want schools to revise their goals every single year,
I see.
but like until we have all the schools who want to, or who we suggest they should revise their goals. So that's what I mean by temporarily.
Got it.
If that
Thanks.
makes sense.
I have a question. In reading this, which I enjoyed, are the goals ever in a place where you're seeing the whole matrix? In other words, like if a school says, we want to work on A, B, and D, or we see these needs, which this wouldn't be dinging anybody because their goals aren't appearing in every box in the matrix, but at least it lets somebody have a view of where they're working, where maybe they're right now not needing to work, and so it's. Do you see what I'm saying? Because it was great to read, but I know the realities are there are a lot of specific things in this whole decision of what to work on, what not to, and then how you work on what you decide to work on. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do. So you're asking if there's somewhere, that's located somewhere?
Yes. I'm not sure that we would need to see it, but so somebody's seeing it,
Yes, that will all be part of the AFO index that we're going to be rolling out, and I'll let.
Yes, ma'am. So, as you know, we've been working on the revising our charter accountability system. And right now, the system, we've done our internal completion. Right now, it's with the core team of school leaders that helped us. And so our hope is to, plan is to next month come and bring that before you. But in that AFO, academics, finance, and organizational, there are individual metrics for each one. One of them, for example, we're proposing will be about high achieving. One is the goal of the Charter Act, which is closing subgroup performance. So goals will factor heavily in how we hold our schools accountable, particularly in terms of the AFO. And so through that, we'll be able to highlight goals that they're meeting, goals that they're close to but maybe not fully meeting, and goals that they need to work on.
That's neat. So it's a clear and good partnership between the school's organic offering up and the district's oversight offering into that.
Yes, ma'am.
Which
And
is
then,
good.
and then through that system, it will be able to help us to attend to, if a school's just got one particular
Yeah.
issue in one area, to triage and target that
Yep,
individual
that's what I'm
area, as opposed to a school that maybe has issues in finance, operations, and academics, where it may be a broader level of support from the district.
Yep. Thanks.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Cindy, I was going to also add, we talked about this a little bit in November, but in South Carolina, schools are being held accountable by the South Carolina State Report Card. And so we pushed back on the department and said, well, our schools are unique because they have a charter, and in their charter are SMART goals. And that's where we hold them accountable. And then we also have the governance piece, finance, and those other aspects of the report. So the department came back and says, yes, you are right. You can hold your schools accountable based on their charter and the goals in that charter. So we're going to continue to work with our schools to ensure that their charter goals are SMART goals, they're measurable, and that we can hold them accountable to those goals and help support them when they're maybe deficient in some of those goals. But that makes us different than this cookie-cutter approach that our state offers through the South Carolina State Report Card system.
Yeah.
That is basically checking boxes, and it only looks at the state testing of a child, and a child is more than a number. And I think that's why our charters are more reflective of that perspective.
Yes, sir.
I think also it's a good sign that these respective schools are delving into that. You know, they're looking in and trying to make improvements. So that's a good signal that these schools and others will follow those with their amendments, because they're not sitting there. As Chris said, they're working to get better, and they know what they're lacking in, and they're moving ahead. So it's a good thing.
Right, yes, that's our hope.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. We have a motion. I will call the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's none opposed. Thank you,
Thank
Kristen.
you.
Nick, the October and November financial reports.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Board of Trustees. At the end of October, we expect 66.67% of the budget to remain. We are currently at 66.28. If you all flip over to page 2, this is our district-wide, can the slides go back one, please? Page 2 is the district-wide income statement. Year-to-date revenue is $56,348,399, with year-to-date expenditures of $55,705,304, for a net income of $643,095. If you flip to page 3, we're looking at district office only income statement. Revenue for October was $338,603. Expenditures of $345,516, for a net loss of $6,912, which brings our fund balance to $2,001,093. If you flip to page 4, this is the total expenditures broken down by department. Can you go back one slide, please? Thank you. All right, so on page 4, this is the expenditures broken down by the department. So for leadership, total expenditures of $604,905. For sponsored performance was $208,086. Support and implementation, $266,137. And then financial services and operations of $293,676 for total expenditures through October 31st of $1,372,804. And then my last report on page 5 is the EIA state revenue broken down by the different classifications. And each month I like to present the total state aid to classrooms versus our total state revenue. So total state aid to classrooms allocation is $201,397,040.30, which equates to approximately 97.35% of our state revenue. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my October financial report.
Thank you. Have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the budget or the update as presented.
Second.
Second. All right, are there any questions for Nick on the
Just-
October financials?
Just two. So back on page 2, the first set of numbers for the department itself. Just, can you say a quick word about the percentages that were super high there in red? Their numbers are small, I understand, the dollar amounts are small. I think it's miscellaneous income and then other objects.
Sure thing. So this year, we are classifying our revenues a little bit differently. So we have not received a lot of miscellaneous income compared to prior years. We're coding those under different funds. We're looking specifically at general fund only.
Yep, great. Just wanted to ask because the
Yeah,
percentages
I
were
wonder-
high, so it's on, on video somewhere.
Did you just say the word commingle? I'm just kidding.
No.
Okay, I thought I heard that word. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick question. On the ESSER funds, where are we with that? Have we exhausted?
We're working with schools right now to exhaust all the funds. They
Okay.
have 6 months to spend.
Okay.
Anything that's remaining as a district, at the district office, we have until September 30th to expend.
Of this year?
Correct.
Okay, great.
But that's a good question. So how much is it? How much is left?
I want to say it's under 10 million? 8 and 9 million, approximately,
For the district office or for the district schools?
for both combined.
Both
And ESSER 3, which is the only program that's open right now, we were allocated $27 million.
And there's about 8 or 9 million left.
Correct.
What happens if there's a fund balance on October 1st?
There will not be a fund balance.
Yeah.
We've already got a contingency plan in place.
I'm just curious, though, what would happen? Do you have to return it, or can you reallocate it?
We actually have to apply for reimbursement, so we have to spend the money first,
Oh, okay.
then apply for the reimbursement.
Okay, so we would have to return it if we didn't.
We
spend
wouldn't have to return it, we would just lose out on the reimbursement if
Gotcha.
we don't spend it.
Okay, all right. All right. Do you want to go ahead with the November? Oh, we didn't vote. We didn't vote. All in favor of the motion to accept the October financial report, please say aye. Aye. There's none opposed. Now November.
All right, at the end of November, we expect 58.33% of the budget to remain. We are currently at 58.08. If you flip to page 2, we're looking at the district-wide income statement. So revenue through November 30th is $70,761,123. Expenditures through November 30th is $69,759,924, for a net income through November 30th of $1,001,199. As we look at on page 3, we're looking specifically at the district office only. Revenue through, or for just November, was $357,367. Expenditures for November only was $333,215, for a net income for the month of November of $24,152, which increases our fund balance to $2,043,980. One thing to point out, this is the first month in the fiscal year where we showed a net increase, and as we continue to move forward, we will continue to see a net increase in our fund balance to go up. All right, flipping over to page 4, this is the total district office expenditures broken down by different departments. So for leadership was $765,444. Sponsor performance is $258,283. Support and implementation is $333,008. And then financial services and operations of $349,870 for total expenditures through November 30th of $1,706,605. And the last page on this report is the breakout of state EIA revenues. And as I stated earlier, I like to point out the percentage difference between our total. So for state-aided classrooms, our allocation is still the same of $201,397,040.30, which through the month of November, that's 97.33% of our state revenue. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my November report.
All right, thank you. We have a motion.
Move to accept the November report.
Second.
Second. All right, we have a motion. Is there any discussion or questions?
I have just one general kind of question. My question is, will you let us know if you have questions? In other words, if anything shows up that you think, oh, I'd like to see this a little tighter, or we're working toward do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So kind of a little bit of, whenever you would think there's narrative not written narrative, but verbal, could, give us even more insight that you realize we might enjoy if we knew it, or might benefit from if we knew it.
Sure thing. One item I'd like to point out that we've implemented this year is if you turn back to page 3 of the November report, we're looking specifically at district-only revenue and expenditures. If you look at the revenue piece, just for the month of November, under investments for interest, we earned $21,771 in the month of November. And in the month of December, when I present at the next board meeting, we earned over $30,000 in interest just for 1 month.
Is that through the state treasurer's local government investment fund?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Up until recently, because I've got investments in that too through my day job, it was paying over 5%. It's starting to tick down a little bit, and you expect that it will as the Fed
Yes.
hopefully will drop rates. But it's a great place to park your money and with basically no risk.
Absolutely.
Earn some good cash.
Yes, sir.
Sitting on the side.
Well, thanks to it, Barney.
Yeah, I just wanted to concur. Nick's done a tremendous job with the finances and the way he's invested the money with the state to get a better return. I mean, it's pretty amazing watching it every month, and he and I meet weekly and we go over it, and I mean, it's like growing on trees, I mean, right now. And so, but that's means more resources that we can use to invest in our schools through supports to help children.
That's free money. You don't get to say that often. So, all right, we have a motion on the table. All in favor, please say aye. 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 That's none opposed. All right, now, Nick, I believe you wanted to go ahead and do the finance and operations update while
Yes,
you're
yes, sir.
standing there. All right, go ahead.
All right, so I'll start with financial services and human resources. As you all know, Governor McMaster announced his executive budget last Friday, which includes an increase to the state minimum salary schedule that will potentially increase state-aided classrooms for our schools. As a result of the budget being put out, we held internal meetings with our deputies to discuss individual department budgets for next year. More updates will be provided during the budget season as changes are made. And then lastly, for human resources, we are in the process of finalizing our new employee review system that we're going to go ahead and implement later this month. On the building and grounds update, the concrete walkway by the flagpole was repaired this week to include a slope on each side. I don't know if you were aware, but it was kind of like a 3-inch step to go up. Now it's sloped down and even with the concrete. And then lastly, we are currently securing quotes for gutter replacement, stucco repair, and painting the exterior of the building. So those projects will start going into effect probably within the next 1 to 3 months. That concludes my update.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, sponsor performance update, John?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of our board, just a few updates. As you recall, I believe when we last convened in November, we provided non-material change updates, which will be part of our updates going forward. And these are changes that our team, in consultation with the leadership of the district as well as our council, determine are changes but not sufficient enough to warrant them to come before you for a formal amendment. So this month we have two. Green, as you recall, last spring and last April, you approved Green Charter School Simpsonville and Green Charter School Taylors as replication schools within the Green network of schools in our portfolio. Greenville-Simpsonville had initially wanted to open this upcoming year with 120 students in grades K through 2, but due to the wait list, community growth, increased parent demand, they are asking to up that to 400 students and start out in their first year with K through 3 and add grade 6. Grade 6 will allow the 5th graders to matriculate up into Green's Middle School because that middle school already has a wait list as well. So the district supports them doing that, increasing the number of students and rolling out. And then we'll be adding on additional grades until their full build out, which will be K-8. Green Charter School Taylors, they are asking for a 1-year delay until 2025-26 to start their year one. The reasoning is because they're continuing to struggle with some facility issues and want to make sure that that's all done well and good for that. These recommendations have been exhaustively discussed with Green's board, including the Growth and Infrastructure Committee of Green's boards, and we provide this to you today as a non-material change update. I won't read all of this, but just again, this is just sort of the steps that we take in reviewing and considering a non-material change. Moving along, just a few other updates from my department. So over the winter break, we upgraded PowerSchool for a new user experience for administrators. Basically, that's a lot of words to say the menu and the visualization changed, and so we working with our Canty partners, we made sure that all of our schools had all the resources and materials so that they know how to navigate. The new user experience is supposed to be easier for PowerSchool. Annual reports were due on December 31st, and our schools overall did an excellent job of submitting those annual reports. We're in the process of reviewing those and packaging them so that we can then submit those by the department's due date of January 31st. Phase 3 after that is going to become where we begin looking into have they met their goals and beginning and launching our AFO review. We spent a lot of time reviewing and analyzing subgroup data based on the 22-23 school year, and we'll be sharing that information, but as a little teaser trailer, we continue to grow in our performance, and we're very proud of that. In most cases, we continue to outperform the state, particularly for children of color, children with disabilities, and children of poverty. We continue to provide technical assistance to schools on their data quality. Last month was the dropout report due, so we spent a lot of time working with our schools. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, we're preparing the AFO index. In terms of authorization, our authorization work, we are on the precipice of authorization season, which will begin sort of officially February the 1st with the submission of applications. And so part of what we've done is we've developed and launched some pre-opening conditions training for the 25-26 school year. We deployed a January issue of All Aboard, a news resource for our potential applicants. On January 30th, though we had it planned for yesterday or 2 days ago rather, due to the inclement weather, we've moved that to January 30th for our final charter academy for those schools in year 0. We are hosting an internal and external application reviewer training just to make sure that the individuals, internally and external, have consistency and reliability in the way that they're going to review applications. Of course, applications are due February the 1st, and at the February 8th board meeting, we intend to have the 2 schools that are renewing those recommendation reports and potential hopefully celebrations, as well as any non-material changes or that sort of thing. So that's the work that's been going on in sponsor performance since we last met.
Thank you.
Ms. Baker?
Ms. Baker, support and implementation update.
Yes. Hello again. Tracy Sweet is joining me today. She is our district homeless liaison. That's one of her many hats that she wears in our office, so she's right on my left hand just in case there's any questions that come up. But this month we've chose to review with you McKinney-Vento and what that means and what that looks like across our district. So we have some updated data points for you as well. The McKinney-Vento Education for Homeless Children and Youth program is authorized under Title 7B of the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act. Most recently, this was reauthorized in December of 2015 by Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA. So I just wanted to kind of give you the background there. Essentially, the purpose of the McKinney-Vento Act is for schools and districts to be able to identify and support students who are defined technically homeless, okay, by definition. Here it outlines for you the many bullet points of how a student is defined as homeless, or a student or a family. The most common we see are if you're doubling up, as in you might be staying at grandma's house because your house is not available or something has happened there. We also see kind of the motel-hotel situation often. Just wanted to let you know that homeless, by definition, has many means, and sometimes that you could imagine what those possibilities could look like. So our district data for McKinney-Vento for students identified as homeless is here for you. This has also increased. Our December number, to give you the most recent data, is 120. Okay? We believe that our population of homeless students has not increased at an exorbitant rate. We believe that our schools now have the capacity and understanding how to properly identify and serve through Tracy and her team's work. Okay? We also believe that our relationships with schools and our relationships with school staff helps them to feel more comfortable to have conversations with us. And we're also, as part of Tracy's training, making sure that school coordinators are comfortable and have those relationships with their direct families so that those families can come tell and discuss that they are potentially homeless. All right, so our goal, as I said, we're not looking for students to be homeless. Okay, we're looking to properly identify and serve, and we're doing that through capacity building at the school level. Okay, so McKinney-Vento is funded in 2 ways, okay? There's a Title I set-aside that we always keep annually for McKinney-Vento and homeless students. There's also an ARP homeless grant, okay? Those funds allow us to provide to students and families training, lodging, transportation. We're even able to stipend the school level coordinators $1,000 a year because, as you can imagine, these types of items tend to come up on nights and weekends, okay? And so we're able to account for those staff times that they may be working in addition to their regularly scheduled day, right? Transportation is currently the greatest need that we're seeing that we're able to reimburse for through these 2 funds. And the not so fun part of this is that we have just been identified to receive a desk monitoring visit for the year of 2024. So as soon as that happens, we'll give you an update there. Any questions on McKinney-Vento?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just a quick question. Does McKinney-Vento allow for students who have been identified that are in hunger insecure places across the state, kids that are in food deserts, I guess is what I was referring to?
Yes, hello, everyone. That's a great question. So absolutely, we do have some students or some schools that will contact me occasionally to say, we have a family that is in financial hardships. Now that we have this ARP homeless grant, which came about as a result of the COVID funds, we're able to offer some things we haven't been able to offer before, such as hotel. We've never been able to do that before under the Title I, but we're able to do some things we haven't done before. So that's really exciting. The bad part about that is those funds run out this year, September 30th, so we have to spend all of those funds by September 30th of this year and figure out, oh, we've put all of these wonderful strategies in place. What do we do now? How do we help sustain that? So we may be looking for some of that additional funding we've been hearing about that to use for our homeless students and staff. But yes, sometimes they will reach out and ask for food. They don't have food. I recently, back in December, had a family who was living in a hotel, had no way to cook, heat, they had a microwave. So a family reached out, one of our liaisons reached out and said, what can we do? So they were able to go and purchase foods that the family could put in the microwave and things like that through this additional grant that unfortunately is going away. So keep that in mind as you're looking at other funding opportunities, because now that we have these great strategies in place to help identify and serve, this money's going away, so how are we going to continue to do that? So let me know if you have additional ideas.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Now, as I understand, the ARP funds have to be expended by the end of 2026. Are you talking about ESSER?
Well, the ARP Homeless 2 funds are specifically related to that's not connected to ESSER funds, but it is COVID related. So those have to be spent by September 30th of this coming year.
Okay.
So, and now we do not receive the McKinney-Vento funds. In the past, our Power School data has showed us that we didn't have enough students to really serve, which we thought was unusual. You know, where are all the students, especially given the definitions? So again, with all of the things that we've put in place over the past 2 years with these additional COVID funds, it's been able to help us identify and serve those students. So now I can see where we may need to apply for some of those McKinney-Vento funds in the future. Whereas in the past, we've only used those Title I funds to set aside to serve those students.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just a follow-up question. So is there a threshold on applications for McKinney-Vento?
No, I think I want to say every 2 years. I'll have to double check and see.
Okay.
But I want to say every 2 years a district can apply for McKinney-Vento
Got it,
funds.
okay. Thank you.
I have a question. So this is geared toward, understandably and wonderfully, servicing immediate needs. What government institution or state institution is helping focus the parents on the possibility for workforce involvement? So the climb out piece of this, or climb up.
And that's a good question. I don't know if we have any services do you know of any other services, Emily, that are being offered? I can tell you with our homeless liaisons, one of the things that our homeless liaisons are responsible for doing is educating homeless families on their rights and what's available to them, because a lot of these families don't want to come forward. They don't want to be identified as homeless. So we have been training our schools and helping the liaisons understand how to build those relationships and help those families to understand that, hey, there may be opportunities for us to help you in this situation. We are limited by the federal funding that's given to us, but our liaisons are not limited by the relationships they build with folks in the community. So that has been another big piece, and that is locally organized by our different liaisons, who they're reaching out to. That's a big piece of the monitoring that we're going to go through, is trying to figure out who they've been partnering with, what other organizations. In a traditional district, you have your district folks doing that, but that's nearly impossible for us at the district level to build those relationships with those communities. So that's one of the goals of the liaisons, is to find out who you're partnering with, reaching out to those individual local resources, and then also reaching out to the district liaisons in the communities in which they serve, because some of those district liaisons in the traditional school districts have built some of those relationships. So we've been encouraging them to do that as well.
And let me ask this one other question.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had opportunity to see a situation that's been very hard get better?
Yes.
So
yes, ma'am.
their story gets better.
Yes, absolutely. And I would love to have some of our schools share some of those because
Yeah,
they
I
will
love
keep
that.
up with us, call us back. One of the things that we ask them to do is to reassess the needs on a monthly basis or sometimes a weekly basis, depending on what the need is, especially if it's a hotel, because we're not authorized to give very lengthy hotel stays. But transportation, for example, the one that is requested most, tutoring services, those types of things. So we ask them to reassess at least on a monthly basis and continuously check on those students to find out what needs they have to make sure their educational needs are being met. I get to hear some of those stories to say, guess what, this family, mom finally found a job, or they were able to move in with a relative, or things like that, and that's always really exciting. That's my favorite part of my job because that's my way to connect to the families through our liaisons. And sometimes those families will call us directly at the district, and we're able to connect them straight to a liaison who can be one-on-one with them and help them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A man once said, "The poor will always be with you." But this district's committed to reducing poverty, increasing people's prosperity, and continuing to help those that are homeless. When we talk about all kids, we mean it. And so whatever we need to do, regardless of federal or state money, we're going to continue to do our part to help our schools help those families who find themselves in those circumstances. So I've got a number of things I need to go through because we didn't meet in December, and so I just want to update you on several things. Guess I'm in control of the slides. That's dangerous. All right, here we go. So a couple of photos here just to show you. We had our school leader summit back in November, and we had great attendance from our schools. Not 100% because all of them, operate and have other demands locally, but we had some really good guests that came in and spoke. We talked about a partnership with the Secretary of Veterans Affairs Office and programs to help our schools. The picture at the top there with Dr. Wagner at Northeastern Technical College over in the PD. We had a good visit with him talking about workforce centers of excellence and the partnership with technical colleges. And then on the right side, you see some of our teammates with Congressman Clyburn. He visited Liberty Steam Charter School over in Sumter. And it was his first visit there. And in case you didn't know that, the former black elementary school that was located in Liberty was his school as a child. And he was just amazed by what he saw. By coming back and seeing how that community has restored that old school and brought new life to it and have brought families back into that school community. So that was a great day, and I think it was educational for him, and hopefully will be impactful on legislation at the congressional level when it comes time to talk about school choice and charter schools. All right, so Carla's probably going to kill me for this picture. Yeah, I'm not good at driving. But Carla's at work. But as you all know, we had a severe storm come through the state 2 days ago. And the night of the storm, we were catching wind that things in Bamberg County were not good for the town there and the folks that live there, and I have some relationships with folks that live in Bamberg, so I called and said, look, we want to help, what can we do? They connected me that night to the county administrator who texted me back at midnight, and I told him, I said, well, I've got a team of at least a dozen people coming down, and we're going to bring supplies and food for the emergency workers. So we organized that late at night on Tuesday night. And then yesterday morning, we drove over with members of our team. Others participated here and helped, but we took a big old crate of bottled water and cases of food that we delivered to the emergency services office there in Bamberg. This is their office. It's a small office. And included in this picture are some of the emergency services personnel. And they were just so thankful. No one had thought about that. You know, it was kind of like when a friend's in need, you drop off a meal. That's what we do in the South. Well, that's the way we viewed it. We didn't want to get in the way. We weren't looking for publicity. We were just looking for an opportunity to help our neighbor. And so I just want to give the staff a round of applause for their work and dedication to this. And it really speaks to the values of this district. We talk about kids first, but it's really humans first, and looking out for our fellow neighbor. Next slide. Next slide. So Workforce Centers of Excellence. So on the 31st of this month, I'll be presenting our budget request to the South Carolina General Assembly's Ways and Means Committee. We're real excited about being able to present this year. We feel like it's always a good opportunity to advocate for all charter schools and for kids, but also for unique ventures that we get into where we can be helpful to the General Assembly and the governor. And one of those is the Workforce Centers of Excellence. This is our logo at the top left. We have the trademark now for Workforce Centers of Excellence. No one in the country owns that trademark. We do, with the thanks to Eric and Drew and others. But the Workforce Centers of Excellence are going to be open and free charter schools that are located on our technical college campuses, and to address the specific workforce needs of business and industry in those specific regions. So in each region of our state, we have 16 technical colleges representing those regions. And in each region of the state, as you know, it's all different. The workforce needs, the companies, the manufacturers, and all that, they represent the workforce in that area, and so they all have their own needs. So we want to design schools, charter schools, that are aligned with the needs of business and industry. And all too often in education, it has occurred to me that, we design standards and we say, well, math needs to look like this and reading needs to look like this. And no one's ever consulted with business and industry to understand what they need. And then aligning curriculum and instruction from there. Well, that's the way we do it here at the South Carolina Public Charter School District. And so through the Workforce Centers of Excellence, that's what we're going to do. So our school's curriculum and instructional model, the apprenticeships, will all be aligned with the needs of business and industry in those areas. And we'll have two different models. Next slide. We'll have a high school of adults. So we have our Palmetto Excel Center down at Trident Tech. And as you all know, we filled all 150 seats. We have 1,000 on the wait list. We're going to grow that school next year down in Charleston.
1,000?
1,000 on the wait list. Yeah. Yeah, you heard it right. Yeah. We got 500,000 people in South Carolina without a high school diploma. That's 10% of our population that we have failed first time out. We can't solve the whole problem, but as I said, when it comes to poverty, we're going to do our part to solve a part of the problem. And then we'll have our traditionally aged high school that will also be located on these technical college campuses, and that's for high school students 14 to 21. Both, though, are similar in model in terms of focus on diploma, focus on certifications, focus on credentials, and apprenticeships in those business and industries. And again, curriculum and instructions tied back from the needs of business and industry. So the courses of study will be aligned with business and industry. The students will have an opportunity for dual enrollment on these technical college campuses. There'll be apprenticeships, interns, and other practical opportunities for them to have employment experience on site. You can learn so much more being on site of the business than in a four-wall classroom. That's my opinion. I learn from personal experience. Provide needs-based pathways to allow our students to enter the workforce, but also if they want to continue their technical college education or even go to a four-year college or university, that's fine. But also to prepare them for the military and first responder jobs. Those are new additional initiatives that we have, is tying that in, and that's going to be part of our partnership with the Secretary of Veterans Affairs here in South Carolina. Now, obviously, we'll have to meet all state standards and requirements for graduation, but as I envision the workday, the morning can be focused on academics, and then the afternoon is when they get the practical, applicable learning on site through apprenticeships and things like that. And of course, like all public charter schools, it's open and free to everyone. Next slide. I talked about the fact that, we've got the adult version and the under 21 school. The vision, empowering every student to thrive in a dynamic workforce. The mission, bridging education and employment for a prosperous future. Our motto, redefining education, shaping tomorrow's workforce. And of course, as I mentioned, we'll start them on our 16 technical college campuses. But we also have a vision to open up, as you all know, workforce centers of excellence schools on our military bases, but also co-locate workforce centers of excellence on the site of business and industry in South Carolina. So imagine a workforce center of excellence located on the campus of BMW up in Greer, or Sunoco over in Hartsville, or Volvo down in the Low Country. That's what we're talking about. It's visionary, and we've done the research, and there's not really a whole lot of this going on in the country. So we're going to be innovative and leading the way. Again, we talked about the educational pathway. The focus is the diploma. We are not about the GRE. As one student told us, and she's going to go with me to our hearing on the 31st, she tried the GRE. It didn't open any doors for her. So she came back and is getting her diploma and seeking better opportunities of employment so that she can take care of her family. Next slide. So what do we need from our partners, the technical colleges? We need access to their facilities. During COVID, a number of our technical colleges, I would say all of them, many of their students are now virtual. So it's opened up a lot of classrooms and facility space on these technical college campuses. It solves a problem for our schools because we don't get the funds for facilities, and it's always hard to finance and get the money up front to renovate something. So we're going to utilize the technical college campuses. It's a win-win for the technical colleges. It's a win-win for charter schools. We have a need. They have a need. We work together. We become a tenant. And we help generate opportunities for our students to get dual enrolled and be on a college campus, which can be very inspiring for students, especially for those who maybe, we're going to drop out. And for those adults, getting them back on and be inspired to maybe even pursue a whole nother career that they never dreamed. I mentioned the certification, credentials, and apprenticeships. These will all be tied in with the offerings of the technical colleges. And of course, the partnership's all about putting kids first. Next slide. Does anybody have any questions about the workforce centers of excellence before I go into some of the other items?
I have one question.
All right, Cindy?
This is a small question right here, though. Now, will that include like an offering when possible for ROTC and that kind of thing? If when you're talking about military, the ROTC in the school?
So we have been asked that question, and that's a little bit more of a challenge to have a robust, ROTC program, but we are exploring what that would look like.
Okay.
Our schools tend to be smaller, and it's hard to have a vibrant ROTC program, but we're not going to give up on that pursuit.
Yeah, but at least maybe a contact so they know where they can.
That, but also the participation in the ROTC at one of the local schools.
I got you. Mm-hmm. And then tell me about the 21-year, when you're over 21, the whole funding issue for that, which I know we dealt with with the school in Myrtle Beach.
Right. So for this year, we're asking for $5.9 million from the General Assembly to fund the enrollment for the Palmetto Excel Centers. So that would expand by 650 students, the program. We're at 150 right now. So we're going to grow Charleston by 350 And then the goal is to open one in Sumter and one up in Spartanburg County at Spartanburg Community College, and 150 each on each of those two campuses. And then we're asking for an additional $5 million for the district for planning and implementation and oversight, outreach, advocacy, and marketing for these schools, because the General Assembly has asked us to go into 16 technical college markets in the state. And as you all know, this district only takes 2%, which is allowed under the law. So we don't have the additional money in FTEs to go out and do what the General Assembly wants us to do across the state of South Carolina to grow these workforce centers of excellence. So we're asking for that to be recurring dollars, and so far our conversations have been very positive. But we'll continue to advocate, and I will be making that ask on the 31st with the House Ways and Means K through 12 Subcommittee.
And my last question is, what about any prognosis or thoughts on the Fort Jackson possibility?
So that is part of our Veterans Affairs outreach program. So we're going to actually have an MOA. We're working on that right now with the South Carolina Department of Veterans Affairs and Secretary McCaffrey. So we're working with his team on an MOA, and that is part of it, is for us to pursue jointly with them, because they have the relationship with the base commanders. This is what the governor wants us to do. So we're going to pursue it that way. We've had meetings, as you know. We've met with these commanders. I've talked with all of them. But we feel like having a partner at the state level doing this with us can be more effective, and make sure that we are aligned with the priorities of the governor and the General Assembly when it comes to charter schools on military bases.
And I just want to throw out one name that Stephen, you might know, and Randy, you might know, is Cleve McClary. I don't know if you know Cleve McClary.
I do. I've met him.
And what a dynamo. He might, who knows, he might be interested in bringing his energy to this wonderful table, you know.
He should have his name on one of these charter schools.
Yeah, he
that guy's
should.
a hero.
Sean Jenkins, who died and for whom the Children's Hospital at MUSC was in his, I don't know if you call it platoon, but Cleve McClary was his leader in that when that all happened. So anyway.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think working with Veterans Affairs, they are partnered with folks like him and Congressional Medal of Honor recipients. As you know, the National Museum is down at the USS Yorktown in Charleston at Patriots Point. So there's a lot of opportunity for us on this point. I mean, South Carolina is a very patriotic military state, but we've got to continue to improve public education in our state if we want to get the nation's best to want to move here, because if you go online, they're not real happy with the grades they're seeing for many of the schools.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir. Will each one of these workforce centers of excellence be an independent charter school and have its own goals and own board of directors?
They will. Each one of these will have to make an application to you all, and each one of these schools will have their own goals, charter. They'll have their own board, their own school leaders, staff. So these are charter schools, but just think of them as unique charter schools that are even more innovative than anything we've seen, that have a specific mission of teaching and providing hands-on training for students to enter the workforce when they graduate.
Thank you.
All right, a few other items. We continue to provide staff support to a couple of our schools that have had some governance challenges. Palmetto Scholars is one, and Bettis Prep over in Trenton, Edgefield County. So we will continue to keep you updated on those. They've had some issues that we've had to work with, but we're working with those boards and those board chairs to get them through these challenging times. We had staff participate. John R. Payne went to Liberty for their enrollment lottery, and that's always a very inspiring thing to watch the lottery. I mentioned the meeting with Dr. Wagner at Northeastern Tech, and we've met with Dr. Polick over at Central Carolina over in Sumter. And by the way, we'll be meeting with the Spartanburg Community College folks in a couple weeks. Senator Peeler set that meeting up for us, and so we're really excited about that. We had some participants present at the Charter Alliances Conference before the holiday break down at Hilton Head. John and I went down and participated in Polaris opened their new extension school building, and so we were down there to participate and be a part of that celebration. And it was wonderful seeing all the families come out on a cold Thursday night before Christmas. That was that Thursday before Christmas, and it was real cold outside. And but man, they had over 150 people show up to come see the unveiling of the new building and those classrooms for those kids. So we're real happy for them. We did give a briefing recently to Superintendent Weaver on the Workforce Centers of Excellence to give her a heads up on what we're doing there. We've also met with the folks at Coastal Carolina University. They're real fascinated. They heard about this. They said, can you tell us more about your workforce centers? We're focused on that as well. We recognize that not every child and adult wants to go to a four-year college, but they want to explore a possibility of working with Horry Georgetown, Tech, and them for a workforce center over in Myrtle Beach and Conway. So we're excited about the opportunity there. We did give our budget presentation to the staff of the Ways and Means. That's kind of the first step, and then we'll do it publicly with the committee here coming up at the end of the month. And then I was with Superintendent Weaver again a few Fridays ago, where Liberty had a big celebration and got to give out, it's kind of like Letterman's jackets for kids that have really earned high awards for character and academic achievement and so forth. And they presented her with a jacket, and that was a very special moment. We continue to work on our budgets. Nick talked about working with the deputies on the budget. This is new for us. I want the deputies in each division at the district to have more skin in the game when it comes to their budget and hold them accountable on their spending. So they're now working with Nick to design their division budgets. And then, we're going to continue to operate that way. That's really the way it should always be done. You shouldn't just rely on your CFO to design the budget. Have the team working together to say, hey, this is what our priorities are. This is where we can cut and find savings. And things like that. So I mentioned the Boy Scouts conference. I spoke at that the other day, and that was the day of the storm. In fact, I showed up in my scout uniform and had a meeting over at the State House, and couldn't make it home to change, so I showed up at the State House in my scout uniform. And one of the legislators I met with, he said, maybe you need to walk around in your scout uniform a little more often. So I might just do that. Earlier this week, we met with the Catawba Nation. Man, what an inspiring meeting. You talk about, I don't know how much you know about Native Americans, but America's got a challenging past when it comes to how they were treated. But the Catawba Nation is the one recognized tribe here in South Carolina, located up in York County, and went up and met with their staff, and they are interested in opening a Native American charter school on the nation, and had an amazing conversation with them. So we're excited about the possibility there. They're looking at other model schools, maybe just creating a private school or something like that. But we laid out for them what we thought could be unique. We talked about the Gullah Geechee school that we have that's opening this fall, the Heritage, down in Beaufort County. And they were familiar with the Gullah Geechee people, and they said, well, that's similar to what we want. We want to be able to just at least educate our people about their culture and rituals and things like that. So I'm excited about the possibility that exists there. On the day of the storm, we did have 35 of our schools close, and I'm glad they took the precautions. They've been approved for e-learning, so they don't have to miss a day. So we're good on that, and I appreciate Emily and others that were supporting our schools during the storm. On the radio show, we've had Melissa Rabin with PACE, and Richard Ball with York Prep, Sandy Blankenship with YLA, and Josh Trahan with Fox Creek. And then we had Chairman Shannon Erickson on. She's the chairman of the House Education Committee, and she did a fabulous job. She's a great friend of the district. So that's all I have in terms of items. I know that's a lot. It's a legislative season. There are a number of legislative issues that we're looking at. I think philosophically, any legislation that would take away the autonomy and independence of the district and charter schools, we're going to push back. We don't need more standards. We need to do more to individualize learning. We need to do more to allow our schools to use the curriculum and the instructional model that's going to work best for the kids in those communities. So any attempt at the state level to put more regulations and more restrictions on schools, we've tried that for 150 years and that hasn't worked so well. I think we're proving through our results that our model is working. At this time, I'd like to call on Teresa Etheridge to come up front. There's Teresa. Come on up. Chairman. Come on up, Teresa. Now, she's not retiring.
Yay.
And we're not retiring her. No, you know, we feel it's important that we recognize our people. And there's been no one in the history of the South Carolina Public Charter School District who has dedicated more of their life to this organization than anyone else. I went online and the Bureau of Labor Statistics said that the average employee in America today works less than 4 years at one particular organization. Well, Teresa has now worked more than 10 years at the South Carolina Public Charter School District. And I think that speaks a lot to her character. It speaks a lot to her faith, her friendships with her colleagues, her dedication to the mission of Kids First, and just the love that she has for people. She has been the face, the voice, and I would say the achiever of great action when it comes to this district. She's the first person that people are in contact with. She's the first person that people meet. She's our greeter. I've said this before. She's okay with me saying this. She's really our work mom.
Not grandma.
Yeah. She said I can just never say grandma. But she truly is a mother in the sense that she's one of the most compassionate people I know. She's kept me straight for over 4 years now and is my partner in all our endeavors that we do here. And so we just found it very fitting to be able to honor her on her 10th anniversary. She won't be going anytime soon. I told her I will never sign her retirement papers. But I don't think Eddie wants her back home anyway. So it sounds like he's got other things and it doesn't include her. So, but Teresa, thank you for your dedication and your loyalty, your friendship to all of us here at the South Carolina Public Charter School District. You mean so much to all of us. And every day it makes me feel good when I walk in the office and I see you sitting there. And when you're not, I'm always worried. But congratulations.
Thank you.
Not to be outdone by Chris. I've been on this board for about 8.5 years now, and when I first started, just for a little bit of time, I just kind of sat back and just kind of watched people. I was kind of quiet a little bit, not so quiet now, but I just sat back and watched people, and like Chris said, she's the first one you see when you come in the morning. Instead of the mom, I would call her the matriarch, is maybe a better word. She's the matriarch of the district. Maybe the dean is a good term. But I sat back and watched, and anything I've ever needed, sometimes I didn't even know I needed it, but Teresa took care of it. So I appreciate everything you've done for us. You've made my life easier. I know you make these people's life easier. So on behalf of the board, congratulations. I'm glad Chris will never sign your retirement papers, but this place would not be the same without you, and we do appreciate you.
I'll say a few words. So it has been a wonderful 10 years. We've made a long journey, but we are in a really good place now, and I'm grateful for that, for our board, for our staff, for Chris, for what you've done for us. And like you say, we always keep children first. That's our first mission. And it's easy to do that when you love children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We've got one more award. All right. So, as you recall, in the fall, we announced that we're going to begin a quarterly program where we recognize staff who have done an outstanding job here at the district, not only in their work, but just in their professionalism, their interactions with others, and represent the core values of the South Carolina Public Charter School District. It's called the Core Value Award. And so the staff votes on the award, and then I take the results and I pick the person that the staff chose through their votes. And so for this quarter, I would like to ask Becky Huggins to come forward as this quarter's recipient. So Becky is our federal grants coordinator, and you were talking about ESSER money earlier. Well, Becky joined the district in 2021, and she's overseen more than $34 million in federal ESSER money, and we have been compliant in all $34 million. But not just that, she's a great communicator. I love her emails. And I don't know that I've received more emails from schools and other outside parties about her work than anybody else. And so it's a great reflection, Becky, of your commitment to our core values, your commitment to your teammates, and the great work that you do. So congratulations. It's always great to start off the new year with recognitions. I love these, and I hope you enjoyed us having the scouts in earlier. Emily Baker has been working on that program to recognize students that have accomplished different things in our schools because, it's not all about just academics. There's other things that our students are doing, our teachers are doing to help advance the cause of people. And the people that serve in this larger school community we call the South Carolina Public Charter School District. So, Mr. Chairman, pending any questions from the board, that's the end of my report.
Okay. Are there any questions? All right. So I'm going to take call it a point of personal privilege. And I'm going to try not to get upset. As we mentioned a moment ago, I've been working with Teresa for about 8.5 years. Before that, I was able to serve, 2 years or so, as a board chairman of Bridges Prep School. So I've got a little over 10 years. Recently, well, in the past 2 years, I started working on another degree. and I will graduate in the spring with a bachelor's degree in business economics. At this particular time, it requires me to spend more time there. So does work. Work has changed a bit. In fact, I should be in class right now. So my life situation has changed. That's going to preclude me from serving in the capacity that I need to sit in this chair and sit on this board. So I'm just announcing to you, I've already told the speaker, I've told Chris, and I've told the board, this will be my last board meeting.
You're the best.
I hate
You're
this.
the best.
Anyway, it's been a privilege. We've helped, I don't know how many students, tens of thousands of students over time. We've made great strides. When I first got here, we were a little in disarray. We were kind of, at some point, kind of a ship that had no rudder. We were kind of floating around, and the board made the decision that we were going to change that. And we did. We brought on Chris. He brought on you. This district is 180 degrees different from where it was. We've got great audits now, which is one thing that I've really hammered on the entire time. But that brings it, one, it's due to the people, it's due to the taxpayers, but the General Assembly requires it as well. And they should be. That's taxpayer money. But we have a clean audit. So thank you to Nick and his team, everyone who's been involved in that. Sometimes sitting up here, we come in generally one day a month, and we're here for a few hours. You're the ones that do all the legwork, the heavy lifting, that gives us the ability to sit here and do what we need to do. So thank you for that. Sometimes we have to make hard decisions up here. This is not all fun and games. But we have to do what we have to do because that's what we're charged with. We have fiduciary duty to this state and to students and parents. So it's not always easy. Sometimes we have to make hard decisions, and I'm glad to say that we have a board that has the backbone and the foresight to do so. So without further ado, I'll stop at this point, but I just wanted to let you know this will be my last meeting. I've enjoyed it. I will be involved with charter schools one way or another. In fact, I was telling the board one of the classes I have to take is an independent study, and I'm actually going to do my big paper on workforce centers of excellence and the micro and macroeconomic perspectives of that and how it impacts the state. So I'm not leaving. I'm just kind of shifting lanes at this point. But it's been a privilege and an honor. Thank you. Thank you. So, without further ado,
I'm glad you didn't put this to a vote. 'Cause you
Mr. Chairman, I just, if possible, I'd like to just say a word. You know, I don't like your decision, but you're my boss, and the board's my boss. But I understand and I appreciate it. I know you're not going to be going away. I know you're very interested in workforce centers of excellence, and you know you want to see those grow. But I just wanted to personally thank you for your leadership on behalf of the entire staff, the support that you've given this staff, the endorsement you've had in so many ways that we've been able to help our staff, our schools, and the kids that we serve across this state. You've undergone a tremendous amount of personal attacks that have been placed on you, stress in your own job. People don't see sometimes the weight that you have to carry as chairman of the board. I know the board does, but others sometimes don't. They don't realize it. You don't just show up on a board meeting and demonstrate capacity and leadership. It happens every day while you're trying to, at the same time, manage a family, a job, school, and the other things that you do in your life. So I just want to thank you for your leadership, your friendship, your mentorship, and the way that you've supported me. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for a couple members, Cindy and John and others who, called and said, hey, would you be interested? And, I'm glad that we've had this partnership together. It's been tremendous collectively what we've been able to do as a team, but it all started with you. So I know you're not going too far, but thank you, my friend, for your service, not just to this district and the thousands of kids and families that we've been able to support and help lift up in South Carolina, but thank you for your service to our state. We forget about that sometimes. We're unique as a district. And so your service has been to the greater South Carolina community and beyond. So I want to just personally say thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I take a point of personal privilege? Certainly, as I said to you earlier, I just got on the board and now you're trying to leave, but I certainly appreciate just the years we've had an opportunity to work together way before it was popular on charter schools, and appreciate your leadership. But I also wanted to take a point of personal privilege today to thank this entire district for your support for me during the passage of my mother during the holiday season. It's one thing to lose someone, but it certainly is another thing to lose someone during one of the most special times of the year. And your support and your acts of kindness and your notes and your emails were just heartwarming to me and to my family. And I want to take a personal point of privilege to thank the Chairman Payne, Superintendent Neely, and Attorney Norton for their presence. They actually came to Greenwood, South Carolina, to be with my family. And so I just want to say to you, every time I hear the superintendent talk about who we are as a district, not only do you display that in what we do for children, but you display that in everything that we do as a state charter school district. And so, Mr. Chairman, thanks to your leadership regarding that. Mr. Superintendent, thanks for your leadership in that regard. And I just, again, want to thank all of you, on my board, all of you for just the warm support that you gave me during that time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Well, we will adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you.